God periodically releases millions of monsters to wipe off a large portion of the population. People tried to fight the monsters off, but the creatures are too powerful, so now humanity can only run and hide. The movie kicks off with a narrative about the first Judgment Day. Then, swarms of creatures sprung from the soil, flooding out of regular mines. They wiped out entire populations and leveled entire cities. These monstrosities sparked a full-scale conflict that ultimately led to their extinction. Protective infrastructure, such as gates, were erected at the well's old location to ward off repeat intruders. It's been 15 years. The world got back on its feet after that. The good fortune extended to some included Laura, who managed to escape. She is a staff member there. She has a male buddy named Milton who keeps trying to ask her out but is always disappointed. A grudge against her ex-husband, Dave, is probably to blame. On the day of judgment, he abandoned Laura, leaving her and their unborn child to fend for themselves. Tyler, age 15, is Dave and Laura's son. He and his pals and girlfriend, Maddie, disappear for the entire day at the skate park. He spends his free time playing video games and serves as a bargaining tool in his parents' contentious relationship, which began shortly after his birth. Meanwhile, tensions are mounting. There will soon be an eclipse, and some people believe that this is a sign of impending monster invasion. Additionally, there has been an increase in seismic activity, emergency checks are being performed by protective dome staff, and there is very worrisome news in the media. All around the world, fish populations began to crash. Just like the day before the first day of judgment, this again occurred. The phenomenon of mass migration should also sound warning bells. We seem to be going backwards 15 years in time. While spending the weekend with his dad, Tyler gets a call. An old acquaintance, Ted, calls Dave. According to him, the next day of judgment is tomorrow. Dave, he says, must quickly get up the kids and get to his safe haven before the eclipse. Meanwhile, the first creature makes its way under the dome, stealthily ascending the steps. Laura is on the phone with Dave right now. Like everyone else, she has heard the news and is now demanding that Dave bring Tyler home. She believes the shelter Milton has reserved is their only hope, and she has made the reservation. Ensuring her that he is the father and that Tyler is safe with him, Dave says. Tyler receives a text message from his girlfriend, reads it, and sneaks out of the home while his father is still talking. Laura is freaking out and needs Tyler urgently, but Dave's house is not safe. Dave concurs. He attempts to enter Tyler's room but finds it empty. Milton urges Laura to hurry since the shelter is getting full. There's no sign of Tyler, she says. Milton dials his number and tracks him down to the skate park. Tyler is indeed present in the company of Maddie. Since her parents had abandoned her, she has been experiencing anxiety. She begs Tyler to stay with her, pleading that he not abandon her. Tyler affirms that he will never abandon Maddie like his father did. At once, a bird's call can be heard, and massive flocks of birds take flight in a single direction. People in the park scatter in fear. Dave stays behind to search the park for Tyler as the rest of the town leaves. After becoming stuck in a massive traffic congestion, he abandons the car and chases after his son. The employee is currently performing a routine instrument check beneath the dome. Something rustles, and odd noises can be heard. The monster comes in and rips the worker to shreds. Soldiers in the area fire at it, but regular bullets have no effect. Tyler and Maddie watch with dismay as chaos ensues. Tyler tells his dad, Dave, that Maddie didn't have else to go and he couldn't leave her. Laura and Milton drive up, and Laura leads the group to the shelter where they have reserved seats. There will be an eclipse in slightly more than an hour. The city is in total disarray. People are fleeing in all directions, and traffic is backed up for miles. They make it to the shelter in the end, but the military has sealed it off, allowing only women and children inside. Dave entrusts his mother and son, Tyler and his mother, to the shelter. Neither she nor Milton have left the crowd. The two are at the shelter when Tyler suddenly bolts to his dad. Maddie and Laura both run after him. Tyler yells, I will not leave him, he is my father. The scoreboard now displays the message that all available spots in the shelter have been taken. They didn't waste any time getting to the automobile. Milton advises hiding in the school's basement, which is close by and out of sight, while Dave offers to go to Ted's refuge in the desert. Yet another traffic bottleneck, this one involving dozens of vehicles. They disembark from the automobile. A shadow falls across the sun as an earthquake starts. It has started to eclipse. The creatures emerge from the safety of the dome. Their swarms, be they crawling or soaring, overrun the metropolis. Dave advises getting out of town because of the increased danger. He insists on taking the wheel, but Milton is furious about it because the vehicle is his and he has the key to save everyone. Dave is the cause of their conflict. The monster snatches Milton up and flies into the air with him. Laura lets out a heartrending cry, and Dave shoves her into the car as they try to escape. In their cars, they follow the canal. Dave reassures the kids that everything would be alright and that they will be able to leave. There's not much gas left in the tank. Dave is looking for a suitable alternative to it. Several vehicles are up ahead. A car pulls up, and Dave hops in. There was an old man hiding in the trunk. To his right, he sees a massive bleeding monster resembling a bull's skeleton. He's really near by now. Without spotting the automobile, the bull walks up to the body and begins to gnaw on it. Dave stealthily rolls back to where Laura and the kids are sitting in the car. Both vehicles are now side by side, and they need to find a way to move to a different parking spot. In the meantime, the bull had seen them. The man exits the vehicle and liberally applies salt from the jar in his hands to the bull. The bull finally let up, and the kids, Laura, and I all made it to Dave's car in time. The bull then charges the man, tearing him to pieces. Dave, though, escapes in his car. The city is surrounded by monster hordes. Dave takes a car down a deserted mountain road. They arrive at Ted's hiding place in a car. It has the appearance and security of a concrete bunker and is quite safe. There are cameras on the roof, but no one answers the door when it's knocked on. Someone is standing behind the screen while Ted sits there with a gun to his neck. The monsters are hurting themselves along the mountain. They make a beeline towards the safety zone. Dave takes a tire iron to defend his family, but the bunker's doors open just in time for them to run inside. Dave enthusiastically embraces Ted. Beside him, in the bunker, are his wife Stella and a military soldier. The man is introduced by Ted, who says he knows him as Corporal Garrett Jensen. The creatures are attempting to break down the door, as depicted on the screens. Garrett is quiet and everyone else is on edge. Maddie wonders if the creatures can see through walls or if they can feel them. Like light and heat, they react to us, but I also think they can see right through to our souls, says Garrett with a wry grin. They are the progeny of Satan, and hence God. Their cruelty is physical, but their hunger is spiritual. Do you have strong religious beliefs? The question comes from Laura. Yes, he confirms today. According to him, the first day of Judgment found him working in a refinery. He dove into a pool of salty muck, where the monsters were too terrified to come, as they flooded in. As 150 of his coworkers and friends were slaughtered, he sat on the mud and listened. Because Garrett is so interested in his tale, he misses Ted's signal for Dave to use the knife. Dave gets it and takes the knife in silence. That's why it's named Judgment Day, Garrett says. The devil has absolute power on that day. Right now, a bug the size of a centipede makes its way in through a crack in the window's mesh. Garrett has volunteered to report for duty first. Ted looks thoughtfully at Dave and extends an invitation to remain. However, Garrett unsheathes his rifle, compelling Dave to drop the blade. Garrett reveals that he sought cover and subsequently located this secluded area. Stella, out of kindness, let him in even though Ted had argued against it. He made it through the ordeal the first time, and he will do so again. Tyler lunges at Garrett, attempting to wrestle the gun from Garrett's grasp. But Garrett just tosses him aside. Dave consoles the soldier. Dave steals a rifle from Garrett, and as the centipede-like monster rushes out of the wall towards Stella, Ted rips it off her neck and pours salt on it. The emergence of new monsters is met with successful elimination by the populace. The group ties up Garrett and tries to stem Stella's bleeding. After that, Dave spots a massive bull coming to aid the monsters. He realizes that they are hopeless and must leave the bunker immediately. The bull is trying to break in by kicking at the door. Ted is reluctant to leave the house because he worries about his wife's safety. Stella, though, urges him to join the others, explaining that a tunnel beneath the bunker provides access to the nearby mountains. Since the animals emerged from bunkers and Garrett has a fully fueled automobile, he convinces him to join along. The bunkers are secure and the creatures will not return. They don't believe him, but he claims that he was only trying to make it, and that now it would be to his advantage to assist them. That's where they've settled on going. If we can just get there, Dave assures Garrett, we won't remember a thing. They take up arms, with Ted possessing a veritable arms depot. The bull continues to pound on the doors, but they are able to escape through a crack and into the tunnel. They get to the car, and Stella suddenly feels sick. When tensions between Dave and Laura rise, Laura reminds him that they should be in the safe house right now. Then, along the way, Tyler sees a creature. It has no life left in it. Maddie goes to get it. Here, the monster's lengthy tentacles emerge from a crack in the ground and wrap around her legs, attempting to yank her away. Maddie screams in terror, as Tyler and Dave rush to her aid. When Garrett offers to help, Dave releases his hands from the ropes. They ascend the mountain and arrive at the peak. A city in flames is what they find. When they go to the automobile, though, it won't turn over. From the peak of the mountain, monsters charge down at them. Stella surveys the horde of creatures while her husband struggles to start the car, and Garrett checks the rifle he's holding. She pulls out her weapon, exits the vehicle, and Ted implores her to surrender it. Stella, however, rejects humanity and embraces her fate among the beasts. Dave forces Ted, who is crying on the phone, into the car. They only manage to get away at the very last second. Many monsters are after them. A radio signal is picked up along the route. According to what they heard, nearly all of the hiding places were destroyed in the attack. As Dave strokes Laura's back, Laura rests her hand on his shoulder. At the entrance, they appear. Doors are open, but the place is deserted. Garrett claims the hiding place is below ground. They're on their way, but first the electricity needs to be fixed. Ted has a wound in his back, so while Garrett and Dave make the call to do it, the others proceed in search of the first aid station. The power is back on thanks to Dave. According to Garrett, a second invasion was planned and the gate was armed with tons of salt, but the well was too deep. When they reach the others, they discover a bloodied corpse and the roar of monsters. The total eclipse will last for another 2 hours. Garrett suggests going into a chemical storage facility because the doors are bulletproof. Suddenly, a monster pounces on Garrett. He and Dave are able to defeat it, but the others have fled to the commotion. Garrett dashes through a door and slams it after him. His veins are swollen and dark from an injection he administers himself. Dave goes home and tells Tyler to watch out for his mum while he's gone. He proposes leveling the playing field by directing the salt water through the tank pipes, where it will be safe from the monsters. Laura leans in for a kiss and cautions Dave before he goes out. By using the vents, Dave is able to observe the monster as it feeds. Next to that creature, gnawing on something, Dave should turn off the faucets. Water is collected in containers after he manages to turn on the tap. Dave tries to get back up, but the creature can detect him and is on the move. As a result of Dave's counterattack, the monster is reduced to dust. In the meantime, the others were encircled by creatures and being actively hunted. Tyler fires back at them. Then, over the PA system, Dave's voice can be heard asking for the fire alarm to be activated. The creatures are closing in on them from all sides. Tyler is warned by Ted to protect the family, son. With an axe in hand, he charges the beasts. Multiple creatures swarm him at once. When Tyler returns fire, he wounds Ted just as he tries to defend himself. When Tyler's ammunition runs out, he pulls the fire alarm and the building is pelted with salt water from every direction, crushing the monsters into bloody dust as they scream in agony. They make it out alive, but Ted perishes. The eclipse is over. The monsters all go back through the exit. The children with Laura hurry out to the location where Garrett is waiting, armed. When he shoots Tyler, we know that the world we once knew is over. He shoots again, reasoning that he has no chance of living because God is taking the day off. Mother of two Laura tries to shield her child with her own body. Dave bursts in, and Garrett takes a fire extinguisher to the head from him. When Garrett collapses, Dave rushes over to help Tyler and Laura. A massive creature rises up from the depths at this location. Garrett, who is closest to it, is slowly swallowed whole as it lunges at him. The monster is closing in, so they rush into the medical area and whip up a salty solution in a cylinder. Dave dodges its kicks long enough to toss a can of potion at it as it crashes through the door. The monster goes up in flames, howling fiercely as it disintegrates. Laura and Dave embrace, doubting that they have been saved. Both pairs leave the building holding hands. The world may be in ruins, but the monsters have been eradicated. Perhaps this is a temporary reprieve, but one thing is certain. Life will be renewed, and the light will ultimately triumph over the dark.